too much work with chocolate, you'll often buy it in these big chunks. And then you'll need to chop it up in order to make things like ganache or put it in a cake or in a souffle. And sometimes people are confused about what the best tool for chopping chocolate is. Surprisingly enough, a big sharp knife is not your best tool for cutting chocolate. And they sell tools in the stores that like these big forks that are sharp that you're supposed to mash the chocolate with and stab it and it's supposed to crumble. And what that really ends up doing is just punching holes in your cutting board and ruining your cutting board, and you still don't have nicely chopped chocolate. So the best tool to use for chopping chocolate isn't a paring knife, it isn't a bread knife, and it isn't your regular chef's knife. It's a big slicing knife, not one of the really sharp ones, but one that's made for slicing bread, that has these little divots in it so the chocolate doesn't stick to the side of the knife. You'll notice if I try and use my sharp knife, you can do it with a sharp knife if you don't have a slicer, but the issue is that it can, because chocolate is so hard, it's easy for the knife to slip and you can really hurt yourself. And also the chocolate tends to stick to the side of the knife because there aren't any divots to prevent it from doing so. So my favorite tool to use is this big slicing knife, and if you work with chocolate at all, or if you do a lot of bread slicing, I recommend getting one. They're not terribly expensive and they're incredibly useful in the kitchen. And they make really easy work of slicing big bars of chocolate into little shards. And because of the length of the knife, it's easier to really sort of rock it back and forth and use it. And you don't need a sharp edge because chocolate is so dense that it's going to, when you bear down on it, you're going to affect the integrity of your knife edge. And if you've ever tried chopping chocolate in a food processor, you know that the heat from the blade whirling around will start melting the chocolate. And so this is a good solution because your chocolate won't melt nearly as easily when you're chopping it by hand. It's still a little bit of work, but as you can see, I'm pretty quickly and pretty easily, with the rocking motion of the knife, just getting this big half-pound chunk of chocolate into very meltable little shards. See, perfect shards of chocolate for making ganache, which I'll show you how to do in our next video.